Hi everyone, Bernard here, and I hope you're all staying safe and well. Welcome to my latest Citizen channel feature. Please, if you are new to the channel, push that subscribe button and push the bell notifications as well, so you know when these vlogs are coming out. And of course, I do lots of stuff city past and city present, so please push that notification button. Make sure your notification is set to public as well, don't forget, otherwise you won't get to know. But press that subscribe button. Please check out my links on screen as well for Facebook and Twitter, and also don't forget I've got a little film and TV channel on YouTube as well, so if you want to have a little break from football, check that out. And of course on Facebook and Twitter I will check every few days and follow and friend everyone back on there. And also don't forget I'll have a sort of links with Losing Business on Twitter. They promote city fan related small businesses, local businesses which need our help perhaps more than ever these days, don't they? So please don't hesitate to get in touch with me if I can promote or put some stuff out for you on one of my magazine vlogs, my city magazine vlogs. And don't forget, I'll always give a shout out to local projects or charities, etc, etc. Just get in touch. Anyway, please enjoy today's Citizen channel feature. Thank you. Right, today we have a moment in time. Yeah, we're going to go back to the 7th of November 1987. I remember it well, yes. Yeah, well, sort of. Well, I certainly do remember it well because it's quite an important day. Not insignificant as the date itself, but obviously it was an event that happened obviously in the history of Manchester City, of course. As I sat down at Main Road with my daughter Leanne, she was aged 6 at the time, and my son Marc was almost 4. I'm fairly sure, my memory plays tricks, but I'm fairly sure Marc was coming with me as well. Not a particularly pleasant day from memory in that November 1987. And we sat between the main stand and the north stand, you know, that place where the security thing used to be at the back. I used to go in there quite a lot with the kids when the kids were little. I used to go in the north stand, etc. Used to sort of roam around Main Road a lot, in different stands. And I wasn't expecting too much from my team. We didn't in those days, did we? Leanne and Marc were well stocked up with sweets and drinks. That's what we used to do, and I sort of managed to get in the ground without being frisked in those days. I didn't have to have a bag that was less than A4 size or whatever it is. It's a good job really, because obviously both Leanne and Marc would also take toys. They'd be interested with the crowd and watching a bit of the game, but obviously they used to come and watch me play football as well, which was probably more entertaining for them, to be honest with you. But yeah, they would sort of have the sweets, and they'd have toys. I think Leanne probably took a couple of Barbies, 2 or 3 Barbies, and Ken perhaps got a lift along, and my lad probably was into Masters of the Universe at the time, so it's probably Skeletor and He-Man, etc, etc. And to be honest with you, I do remember most games. I think the fans around us, the City fans around where I sat with my kids who were playing with these little dolls from time to time and action figures, I think the crowd around us were more entertained by that sometimes than what was going on the pitch. It wasn't the greatest time in the mid to late 80s, wasn't it? Let's be honest about it. But perhaps not this day. Perhaps we got a little bit distracted by what went on the pitch, of course, in this very special game we're going to talk about today. Of course, we're talking Manchester City versus Huddersfield. Mel Machin was at the wheel, wasn't he? Mel Machin was at the wheel. We sat 10th, yeah, a mighty 10th in Barclays League Division 2. Only 14 points behind the current leaders then after about 17 games. Bradford City, yeah, I mean, they did fade out a little bit. They would go on just to finish 4th, and it was actually Millwall who won the 2nd division that season, and they were sort of 17 points better off than us by the end, so we didn't really come close to doing too much that season. But yeah, poor Huddersfield Town were opponents that day, and they were rock bottom at the time when they came to Main Road. And they would actually finish the season rock bottom as well. So there wasn't much improvement despite a new manager. They would finish 14 points behind the second bottom club by the end of the season. So things didn't go so well for them this day, and they didn't sort of carry on going very well from in future days either. And of course, neither of us, neither City or Huddersfield, realised the sort of spectacle, or the fans would realise the spectacle, less than 20,000 in there, but talk about that in a minute, that would lay in front of us that day. Yeah, the programme, the 24 page, just 24 pages, nice and compact, but lots of information in it. 60 pence, a mighty 60 pence it costs. Had a happy Mr. Machin. He was gleaming. He was so happy. We'd gone on a 5-game unbeaten run. It had never been known, these sort of things at that time. The City spotlight in the programme was on a certain fast emerging talent called Paul Lake. Yeah, he was the centre of attention in that. Peter Barnes, yeah, picked his magic moments. Surely it was scoring that goal against Newcastle in the 76 League Cup final. No, it wasn't. It was his debut for England in 1977. I suppose we could let him off, but I'm sorry. It's club before country for me as far as football's concerned. But hey, there you go. We'll let him off with that anyway as his magic moment. Neil McNabb was a centre page spread. You could take out the staples and stick him on your wall if you're that way inclined. Obviously, the programme I've got there, which is this still the original one I've got there, is still intact. So I was a bit old for taking out things and sticking them on the wall. Unless I bought a spare one and my lad wanted it or my girl wanted it on a wall or something like that. Of course, in Past Masters, Past Masters, that was called, a little article. Richard Bott looked at Rodney Marsh. That was a great little piece on Rodney Marsh. Yeah, Malcolm McDonald was the new manager. Yeah, was Huddersfield's new manager. Is it the Terriers? I think they're called the Terriers. I may be wrong. Please forgive me if I am, but just off the top of my head, he was their new manager. Super Mac, of course. I watched him a few times as a player. And they'd actually just the week before, I think they got beat just before they played us in midweek, but I think they'd actually won their first game of the season the week before. So after about, 16, 17 games, it wasn't going too well for them at that stage. I think they'd only win 6 all season. So perhaps they did a little bit better in that last 2/3 of the season. City Action, of course, had images from a Littlewoods Cup game, yeah, against Nottingham Forest. I think they were third in the first division then, Nottingham Forest, a real scalp for City. I'm not sure what sort of team they played, I can't remember, but a 3-0 win over City, so that was fantastic. To get that sort of victory over a first division outfit, but so it was all right. It sort of boded well. I mean, there was not many familiar faces to me or names in the Huddersfield team, apart, of course, from Andy May, who obviously was familiar to all City fans. The City 11 that day, Varady was actually injured. I've recently done a little vlog on number 9s and done Imre Varady as well, so obviously it was interesting to do this because it's around about the same time. But the City 11 that day without Varady, who hadn't recovered from his injury, was Nixon, Gidman, Redmond, Clements, Hinchcliffe, White, Lake, McNabb, Simpson, Adcock and Stewart. And of course, it would be the first and only time, personally, I don't know what you're like out there. You guys of my age probably saw it, but it's the only first time I'd ever see City score double figures in a game. That's for sure. We came close. We've come close once or twice, haven't we, recently? But yeah, that was the first and only time I've seen that happen. Will I see it happen again in my lifetime? Who knows? It'd be nice to think so, wasn't it? But it was something to behold, of course. Well, I did keep the papers after this event, so I'll just have a quick look through the papers, and I kept the front pages as well, just to see what was happening in the world, which is always quite interesting. The back page of the People, these were the Sunday papers, led with 10-1. Ruthless City in record romp. That says it all. On the front page, yeah, there was a problem with Gay Vickers. Surprise, Vickers, gay, never. Yeah, there was a problem with Gay Vickers, and Princess Di was having problems with Charles. So yeah, no change there then, was there? Inside, Norman Wynn obviously did the match report, and his headline read, Blue Blazers hat-trick trio leads City on a goal blitz. So that was the People. On the back page of the Sunday Mirror, we'll have a look at their match report in a minute, but on the back page of the Sunday Mirror, it led with 10 out of 10. There you go, 10 out of 10. On their front page, well, there was a bit sadder, really. It was an actual Remembrance Sunday, so they led with a poignant picture of a war widow, a soldier had been shot and killed in Northern Ireland, and obviously it was actually led with that on their front page about these forgotten widows, etc. And the forgotten troubles in Northern Ireland. Really, I think that was the basis of the whole article. Inside, Henry Matthews, who we'll have a look at in a minute, headlined his little piece on City. Blue Murder, City kids go goal crazy. Yeah, we had a good young team then. A lot of that youth team that won that cup, obviously previously, it was starting to come through. I mean, at times we had 6 or 7 of that youth team in the City team. course. The news of the world, well, they're a bit more laid back. That's probably why they went out of business. They had an image of Tony Adcock and Paul Stewart on the back of the paper, on the back page, but with a little headline underneath that they were celebrating a City romp to a 10-1 win. But there's no actual headline on the back page, if you like. On their front page, a boxer, Lloyd Honeygans, Lloyd Honeygans. I don't know how you pronounce that. I mean, I do sort of remember him, but not overly too much. Obviously, his complicated love life was sort of front page reading there. I think he had about at least 3 ladies on the go at this time, but hey, there you go. And of course, we had the Chris Quentin, didn't we? We had Chris Quentin, the old Coronation Street heartthrob. Remember him posing in his undies, which is he's quite a sort of muscular lad. He looked all right, didn't he? I think he might have been a City fan as well. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest with you, but I'm sure I'd read he was a City fan. You might know better than me, but yeah, we all look like that in our underpants, don't we? But there you go. Inside the news of the world, again, there was a little piece on City, and George Slade wrote City stars in top 10. So they didn't go too much over the top. There's an interesting match report. Yeah, I did say we get back to Henry Matthews, didn't we, of the Sunday Mirror. And we're just going to sum up the game from his match report. Manchester City 10, Huddersfield 1. City kids go goal crazy by Henry Matthews. It wasn't so much a romp, more like cold-blooded murder. A Manchester City magnificent boy blues never once stopped to think of mercy. For so long, the main road faithful have had their patience tested by a team that promised to rekindle the glory days, but never quite delivered. The doubts were blasted into the wild blue yonder yesterday in a way that was beyond every City fan's wildest dreams. I had to blink a few times and pinch myself. Poor Huddersfield never stood a chance. They went swept aside by a blue tide of pace and power that took the breath away. Paul Stewart, Tony Adcock and David White all hit hat-tricks in the relentless rampage after veteran Neil McNabb had launched City on their way to the biggest winning margin in the club's history. Yeah, we'd had an 11-3, hadn't we? But obviously that was 8 goal difference, so it's the biggest goal margin, wasn't it, as a record? Ironically, McNabb's opener in the 12th minute, a stunning left foot drive from 25 yards, came from City's first attack. Huddersfield seemed to be hinting that they were going to make a game of it in the opening 10 minutes when Duncan Shearer and Julian Winter both went close. But that was virtually the sum total of their challenge. Of course, the Huddersfield defence was lamentable, but that takes nothing away from City's achievement, for there were countless moments of pure magic with Paul Simpson's devastating runs down the left contributing the openings for 3 of the goals. Stewart hit City's second from Adcock's delighted pass after 29 minutes. Then Adcock added a third, his first league goal for the club and his 100th in all. After 34 minutes before White's 41st minute close range tapping had ensured City a 4-0 interval lead. So yeah, I think it was said at half time it could be 10. This, didn't they? If I remember rightly, one of the commentators, etc. There was no respite for Huddersfield in the second half. Their keeper Brian Cox was slow to react to Simpson's 52nd minute cross, and Adcock swept the ball in at the far post. Stewart grabbed his second from another Simpson cross after 66 minutes before Adcock rounded off his hat-trick 10 minutes later. Stewart then completed his own hat-trick after 80 minutes following fullback Andy Hinchcliffe's superb run down the left. After 85 minutes, the Huddersfield defence were again slow to react in attempting to clear an Adcock effort, and White raced in to slot home the rebound. Huddersfield's solitary goal came following a needless foul by City fullback John Gidman, and former City player Andy May, slotted home the spot kick in the 89th minute. Yeah, I didn't think there was time for a 10th. I thought we were going to be happy with 9. Obviously, the fans were singing from about 6-0, we want 7, then we want 8, then we want 9, then we want 10. I think we even managed a we want 11 by the end of it, but there you go. Yeah, so on 88 minutes, I mean, what's the time for another one? Of course there was. There was obviously Andy May's spot kick for Huddersfield made it 9-1, of course. But City was still not finished, and White completed his hat-trick with a goal 1 minute before time. Yeah, I sort of being there. I thought we'd run out. I thought it was actually injury time. I don't remember. I'm not sure if we had a sort of ticking clock scoreboard. It was a matter of looking at your watch and stuff like that at the time. I'm fairly right in thinking that. But there you go with that. I didn't think there was enough time, but obviously there was. The player ratings that day, they were interesting. This is from Norman Wynn of The People, who did some player ratings. Nixon got a 7. Gidman got a 7, Redmond got a 5, Clements got a 6, Hinchcliffe got a 7, White got an 8, Lake got a 7, McNabb got an 8, Simpson got an 8, Adcock got an 8, and Stewart got a 9. Of course, he had to scout around for match balls, didn't he? He had to use kicking in balls, and it's probably cost City a little fortune then. He probably couldn't afford it at the time, to be honest with you, but... I saw an image recently on Twitter of the actual match ball, or claiming it was the actual match ball. I think did Stewart end up with it? I'm not too sure now. I didn't look at that, but yeah, they had to give each of the player a match ball, but it wasn't obviously a couple of them were the kicking in ones, not the actual match ball. So for myself and the City fans, in a 19,583 crowd, we had worse than that this season, and it was sort of went down to about 16,000. It was a joy to watch. Of course it was. Every single City attack appeared to end in a goal, didn't it? At 9-1, as I said, there didn't seem enough time to get a 10th, but a sad, disillusioned Huddersfield had probably long given up. Malcolm McDonald, the Huddersfield manager, was magnanimous in defeat. Yeah, he claimed at least 3 of the City goals were offside. So there you go. He took it well, didn't he? He took it on the chin. There you go. Only 7 or 8 1. Not quite the same ring about it, was it? If they weren't allowed, but. I think with the pace, I mean, it was a tough job for the linesmen in those days with those pace up the City wings. I must admit, you'd be hard pressed. Be interested to see how VAR would do now with it, but certainly at the time, we were quite pacey on those old wings. On down the wings. Of course, City would then, towards the end of the season, I think it was April of the following year, April 88, would actually lose against Huddersfield 1-0 at their place. So that's typical, isn't it? Typical City, as they say. But for that Saturday afternoon in November, we could all glow and enjoy a job well done. Where was I at the time? In the 87, I would have been... I think I was self-employed. I think I was doing my computer magazines then. So obviously my partner in that was a big United fan. So at least I would have been able to go into the office for a change into where we worked, our little offices, with a smile on my face. So that would have been nice. I was also there 3 days later, of course, in a crowd of just over 5,000, probably a little bit bigger actually. It would have probably been worse than that, but for one of these SIMOD Cup full members, auto windscreens, I don't know, sort of games, of course, where we played against Plymouth Argyle and won 6-2. Yeah, so it was a bit of a letdown, really, wasn't it? And brought us all back down to earth, really, after 10 goals and obviously just 3 days earlier. Anyway, there you go. And have you got any special memories of it? You were there that day, as I said. I was fairly sure. I think that's one of the kids. I mean, look, I can't. Am I ever so fat now that I don't fit in it? But I can't. That looks too big for my kid's shirt. So it might have been. I might have been a lot slimmer in those days. I mean, it's a long time ago, isn't it? But to say it doesn't fit me now anyway. But that was there. That shirt there was there on that day for that 10-1. Victory against Huddersfield. So it's nice to have a little bit of history, and you've got something to, not just the programme, but you've got something else to remember it by. So that's fantastic anyway. But let me know your memories of that. It was a memorable day, and we lived on that for a long time, and it still comes up now, doesn't it, of course. So thanks for joining me for this Moments in Time. 7th of November 1987, Manchester City 10, Huddersfield Town 1. Thanks for watching. Whatever you're going to do the rest of the day, have a great one. Look after yourselves, look after your friends, look after your families. More importantly, let's all look after each other till we meet here again on the Cities In channel, or perhaps you have a flit across. You don't have a rest from football, just have a look at my film and TV channel as well. I do little stuff on there to try and entertain. I only ever ask one thing of you guys. It's very simple. Please stay safe, Blues. Come on, City. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.